The single worst thing that has ever happened in my dog training career just happened.
This is Reality Dog Training. Subscribe and click the bell so you never miss an episode.
We're still inside that 3-day window where it really takes a minute for them to open up. I think we saw some of that yesterday when we were at the park with him, and he was pretty tough to manage at times, but still a smart guy. He's just a curious guy, that's all.
Chop has no leash skills, and we have a long way to go. But eventually, I'm hopeful that he'll heel when I ask him to. I'm on record now as saying that. That means we have to teach it, doesn't it?
Yep.
Let me show you what I'm hoping to accomplish with my own dog, Inertia. So a heel looks like this. Inertia, heel. Good girl. Heel is where your dog stays on one side of you. They'll move with you when you move. They'll turn with you when you turn, and ideally they'll stop when you stop. In other words, you want them as glued to your side as reasonably possible. We do heel in short-term situations like on a busy city street or for a good training exercise. It's not necessarily reasonable to have your dog heel at all times whenever on leash, as it requires a lot of focus, and it's important for dogs to have experiences. Inertia is happy to do anything in exchange for this toilet paper toy. And like you'll see with Chop, with Inertia, having a really powerful currency to get them to look at you at first can really work well. Look at this. Good, yes. For those of you that saw my series with Inertia, you'll know that I love Bark toys, and they were so powerful in teaching her so many things. BarkBox and Super Chewer are monthly subscription boxes. You get the most original toys imaginable and really high quality treats and chews for your dog every month. BarkBox is for dogs who like plushier toys like this, and Super Chewer is for dogs who need tougher toys like this eyeball. Somersault. Stay? Okay, good, yes. BarkBox's theme is centered around Halloween pranks. Here we have a bag on fire. Clearly they're indicating like there's some poop in here that's on fire, so when you open the door, you stomp on it.
That's clear to you?
There's something in there. Ah!
No.
What? Are you kidding me? Seriously, I cannot recommend these enough, guys. Go to barkbox.com/dogtraining or superchewer.com/dogtraining. Get a free extra box when you sign up for a multi-month subscription. So we saw recently how poor Chop's manners were in public. So it's very clear I have to teach him good leash skills. So we're gonna start really basic here in my neighborhood.
Thing is, there are definitely black bears and brown bears in great abundance in these woods right here. We've seen them, we got them on camera at our house. So we don't usually go this unprotected out here, but I need to train a dog how to pay attention in public. We do have bear spray, so I mean, we are prepared.
I'm not, because the most recent bear video of many that was shared with me by our neighbor
Right there.
of the street that we're about to train on
Yep.
was a mom bear with 2 cubs, and no thank you. That is not the kind of bear that I do not want to encounter. A mom bear. That's the scariest kind of bear. In case you don't know what bear spray is, it's concentrated pepper spray, just like human pepper spray. It's a non-deadly way to get rid of bears. I have a new hypothesis about Chop, and I think he might be an Anatolian Shepherd mix, and if he is, then he will maybe genetically be predisposed to help me not get eaten by a bear today, and that would be great. So I really hope that's true.
We would probably get a lot of subscribers.
My general goal here is to work in a small area and see if I can gain traction by getting him familiar with a small area. See, one of the problems with trying to train your dog when you're on a normal walk, especially with a dog who can pull like he does, is that you're trying to get somewhere. It's just not realistic to teach them to slow down in that particular context. Because when you're constantly encountering new ground and new smells, that can be overwhelming to a lot of dogs. So if my hypothesis is correct, as we walk down this patch here, he's going to be pulling and very distracted by all the plant life and everything else around here. And then by the end of this training lesson, I'm hoping that I can have him walking nicely, and if things are going really well, I hope that I can do some heel training out here in this environment. But I don't know if we're gonna get there. Let's see how bad it is. All right, so I'm just gonna walk. So you can see how he's pulling. Here. I said here, getting no response from him. See? Here is something that means give me your attention. I'm also looking out for bears. All right, good man, let's go. So we're gonna walk back here. Now this is interesting. Do you see how immediately on the walk back, he's slowing down. He's like, we've already been here. It's not perfect, but you saw an immediate difference. Here, let's try it. So he's like, all right, I guess we're going back now. Oh yeah, I remember that smell, that's interesting. There's a lot of toxic plant life to dogs here, so I wanna be very careful about that. Not doing any treats yet, because I'm really more focused on just letting him walk here and explore. I don't really want to distract him with treats. I want him to have a genuine experience with his environment too. So I'm not asking him to do anything as much as I am just seeing what he does on his own. Good man. I'll say good to let him know, you know, I like that. Whereas I'll say yes to mark a behavior and follow that up with a reward. So they're similar, but a little bit different. And I mean, already better than he was just a moment ago. You see what I mean? This really underscores how dogs, once they satisfy their curiosities, they tend to be relatively good. It's a spectrum, of course. Not every dog is this compliant. I love how he's looking up at me. I haven't marked those yet because I'm still really just trying to prime him for this lesson rather than to train him. But in a moment, I'm gonna start marking these behaviors once I feel he's really adapting. I think maybe one more lap. Now, of course, in the long run, you'll want to be able to walk virtually anywhere with your dog. But while they're learning, we need to break things down into smaller steps. If he looks up at me this time, I'll mark it. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait for him to naturally look up at me and then I'll mark. Come on, let's go. Yes, there we go. That was the glance I was waiting for. Good boy. His loose leash walking is looking really good right now. That was my expectation, so we're on schedule. But he's not completely focused on me. He's not staying by my side. I would like him to at least know what a heel is, even though we don't expect him to heel 100% of the time when on leash. But heel is a great communication building exercise. Hey, you ready to heel? Come here. First thing I want to do is make sure that I can get him right in front of me and I can get his attention, unlike that. Come here. Sit. The way he's shaking his head a little here could be a sign of a bit of stress. So I want to take note of things like that and do my best to not frustrate him too much here. I really, really want to keep him optimistic about training. In our living room, he would do great with this. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to show him a treat. We're going to lure. Sit. Good man. Yes. Just to give him a reminder. I'm trying to get him to follow my hand as a visual signal. Yes. Good. Here. Yes. So now I have him looking up at me in the heel position here. I'm having him heel on the right today. I find a right heel is often more practical and natural for me, yes. But keep in mind, you can teach your dog how to heel on either side of you, like I've done with my own dog, Inertia. Here. Yes. Did that one intentionally with the car coming. I wanted to see if I had his attention. Here. Chop. Yes. I'm periodically rewarding for his general attention when I ask for it, and I'm also rewarding him as he stays near me while we're moving. Yes. I love how he's stopping when I'm stopping. We're really tuned into each other right now. Here. Yes. Putting my hands behind my back, so now I'm not saying here, right? I can go here. Yes. I want to be able to have my hands on my hips and say here. Yes. Or even here. Yes. That's how I'm verifying that he's really paying attention to my head. We communicate with each other really well, people and dogs, through our eyes. Chop. Yes. So I use his name, I'll use here. He needs to know both of them. Yes. Rewarding the automatic look for sure, because that's what you want them doing. I really also want to reward back here. Can you see that? Like over here before he gets ahead. In other words, I don't want him to say, yeah, good boy, and reward over there. Let him know that's where the rewards come from with heel training. I'm going to try and get in more steps now. Yes. Here. I cover teaching lessons like this and everything else you can think of in both of my books. I'll have links to them below. Yes. Gonna wait till I have a reliable look at me here. Let's go. So I'm getting a successful response from him sometimes, but sometimes I'm not. I'm gonna stop because he didn't respond. Does he correct himself and look up? As if to say, what'd I do? Chop is really in and out here. He's not exactly inspired to pay attention to me when there's so much to look around at. So I'm gonna see if I can brainstorm some different ways to get him really into this training session. Because I've noticed that sometimes when a dog isn't that interested in me, there's probably something that I can do better. Maybe if I pick up the pace, that might get him a little bit more excited about me. Let's see. Chop, here. Oh, here. Yes. Much more confident trot there, like that. Chop. Here. So his heel is looking good, but this other dog thing is a bit of a problem. Yeah, dog just quickly ran by here with his person. And you can see Chop immediately became less responsive. So that's still another thing we have to work on. I have to get him in the presence of dogs in a distance moving forward. Oh boy. Okay, he definitely still appears to be excited at the sight or detection of other dogs. He's next to impossible to communicate with when he sees a dog most of the time. And in this early stage, that has been one of our greatest challenges so far. Now that the dog has cleared out, I want Chop to still get some exposure, but at a great distance here. So this is a way to kind of let him satisfy that curiosity. You can see him sniffing where the dog walked. I mean, he gathers a lot of information this way. We've got a lot of work to do on teaching him how to be more civilized when he sees dogs in public. I still think that there's gotta be a better way to get Chop even more interested in this training session. At any given time, dogs find different things reinforcing, and those things can change based on circumstance and context. Let me try and switch up his currency. Look at that, yes! Good man. And so instead of the food this time, I'm using a toss of the ball as a reward. It can be a little clunky, but it can be well worth it. This is interesting. Here, yes! So the focus here is getting his eyes on me. Let me see if I can get his attention for just a second at a time and reward him with the ball. Then I'll try to get a few steps of a proper heel in exchange for a toss of the ball. Come on. Yes. So I got like 3 or 4 steps right there. That was awesome. We're gonna bring him back here. Look at how I'm able to steer him so well. Often when we think of luring a dog, we think of luring with a treat, but you can also use all kinds of things that your dog loves in order to lure them. For his heel training, in general, my goal is gonna have him to look up towards my face while we're walking. Luring with the ball can help me get him into position, and just like with treats, I can focus on shifting his attention from the ball onto my actual eyes over time. Oh, now he remembers sit, yes. So you can see an immediate difference in his energy. Yes. Good. Come on, let's go. I'm gonna let him chomp on that ball for a second since he's doing so well. So you might notice sometimes when I say here, I'll say yes afterwards, and sometimes I won't. That's how I would phase out treats later on as I continued his training. Chop. Yes. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, get his attention on the ball, and then see if his glance holds once I have eye contact and get that ball out of sight. Easy. I'm also starting to introduce the word easy in context. In other words, as he's walking slow, he'll learn that easy means pay attention to me and slow down. If he slows down, yes. Not a perfect heel, but pretty good focus. And if we can just refine his position a little bit, look how wild he is. Here. Good. Let's try a turn. Oh, see how he got thrown off when I went to turn? Here. Yes! Did you see that? Did you see how he took one step that way? I'm gonna steer him with the ball since he's a little confused on that turn. So, come on. Gotta be careful of those teeth though. He can accidentally get you. Good man! I'm gonna hold the ball up to my eyes again just to make it real easy. Look at that. Here, come on. Good! What? Here. Yes! Good man, all right. Good catch. It's a pretty nice day, so Bree's gonna take the car with the equipment home, and Chop and I are gonna take a walk, or hopefully something that resembles one. And talk about a completely different story. The moment we left that small patch that we were practicing on, Chop was off to pulling like crazy. He immediately became super stimulated in the new setting, albeit just 30 meters away from where we just were. This is clearly evidence that the progress he demonstrated earlier with his leash training has not been generalized to all or even most contexts. And sometimes when people see me, a professional dog trainer, with a dog pulling like this, they think I should use a special training collar and deliver corrections in these moments. It's worth briefly explaining why I don't use that strategy though. I want to avoid creating a negative emotional response when he encounters other dogs like this when we're out and about later. So instead, my strategy is going to be to look for opportunities when he's succeeding and try to set him up to succeed and build momentum during those moments. And the science seems to indicate that this is at least as fast, if not faster. So in the meantime, when I do encounter dogs in the wild and he becomes overwhelmed and reacts to them, I'm really gonna have to make sure that I manage him for now. And if you're ever going to take your dog out into the real world, you are guaranteed to encounter things that you can't control. And speaking of which, here's an example. There are a couple of dogs that we encounter at pretty close range. This can be a stressful, challenging situation for you and your dogs.
Actually doing really well.
I know these dogs and I know they're really friendly and they won't run into the street, so my focus is completely on Chop right now. So my game plan is to manage him and quickly move him past the dogs while keeping him very secure. My goal isn't to actually teach him how to behave in moments like this. Instead, my goal is to reduce the odds of an exuberant outburst because Chop is not yet prepared to act calmly in the presence of other dogs like this, at least at this point in his training. Yeah, we were just walking past our neighbor's house. The dogs got excited and wanted to say hi, and he was pulling, but he actually did pretty well considering how excited he typically gets by dogs. But yeah, he did not walk well on the way home. To be expected. I mean, you got to do these lessons like we just did. You have to do those a whole bunch. Now that Chop has had all of that physical and mental stimulation, I'm gonna let him get some rest and we'll see how he does when we actually leave him alone for the first time. Gonna leave him with some water and see how he does. I think he's gonna do pretty well. For good measure, I've closed these blinds over here and I have inertia in the bedroom over here. So I'm trying to minimize distractions while we're gone. So I just kind of want it to be a boring, quiet environment for him. As we leave, we're not gonna make a big deal out of anything. We're just gonna walk out. We're not trying to alert him or anything to the fact that we're leaving. We're just gonna go.
So we stopped to grab some dinner real quick, and I want to check on Chop and see how he's doing. Right. Thank you very much. Wow, what a man! I know, but I just have to give him a treat. There it goes.
You woke him up with food.
Hey, that's how he likes to be woken up.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. How good is he being?
Good boy. Let's keep him.
Bree, do not. We were talking about how much we already love him. So it's like, here we go again. He was doing so well when I was working with him on heel, and he's starting to pick up sit all of a sudden. As of this point of the filming of this, we have not announced that Indy has left us. She went unexpectedly. She had organ failure that came on very suddenly.
We actually monitored her blood like every 3 months because I'm a very paranoid pet parent, and so it was truly a sudden event, but I'm happy for that in a way because I didn't want her to suffer either, and she didn't. But it's been really hard. It's really hard to not have her here. It's really hard to film this series without her. It's really hard to not want to keep every dog I see too.
Yeah, I know. It's been a tough time. I say this because we have the benefit of Inertia being able to have a friend to play with. I mean, I'm sure Inertia misses Indy. So he is filling a certain void. Of course, nothing compares to...
Well, I can tell Inertia's been sad. And I think she also can tell, like, I've been really, really sad. And I think she obviously knows that. I'm just really sad. I really miss Indy. You know, losing a dog that you love is really hard. It's tough, man. Dogs are amazing. So it's nice for her to have Chop around. And you guys know about the 2-dog rule, and so Zach's struggling a little bit now. It really appears that he's just had no exposure to like a traditional pet life up until now. And so there's all these things, like today it really felt like Chop started to understand that humans do a lot more than just bring him food and give him love. Like we can actually try to communicate with him, and we can show him what we'd like him to do and then reward him when he does it. And I feel like it was a cool light bulb moment for Chop. It was fun to watch.
Exactly it. I want to go see him. We've been gone too long.
Oh look, I wanted to show you. Look at him.
Still sleeping, or is he just chilling?
He's just chilling.
And now we've just gotten home. He's being good. I'm going to actually ignore him. One of the ways that I like to prevent hyperactivity when you come home is just by ignoring the dog for the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. No need to get them excited. They're probably already a little extra excited. So we'll just ignore him for a minute. It's very hard though.
Oh yeah, then we go love them extra later.
Absolutely. Chop's house training still needs work. He will still lift his big old leg up and try and pee on some furniture when you're not looking. I mean, fact is, he's been an outdoor dog until just the last 3 days of his life, so I should be understanding of this. So I've really got to do a better job of supervising him, being one step ahead of him, because potty accidents with him are like much more impactful. So I have to really do a better job of letting him out for potty breaks often, or let him hang out in a place where if he does have an accident, it's very tolerable because you can just clean it up. I mean, our deck meets that criteria perfectly. I mean, my own dog, Inertia, she spends hours at a time out there. She loves the sunlight and just chilling. And from what I've seen so far, it seems like Chop does too. So now that he's had a potty break, I'm gonna let him spend some time out on the deck while we keep an eye on him from the living room. The single worst thing that has ever happened in my dog training career just happened. As you guys know, we've been using this back area to contain Chop as an alternative to just having him in his crate or just having him walk around in here. You know, it's nice out there. The weather's beautiful this time of year. He's getting fresh air. And for the first several days, he's been doing really well out there.
So he's out there by himself, but we have all these windows, and one of us is always, in theory, keeping an eye on him.
I was sitting right here, and then I looked back, and I saw him jump up on the railing, balancing there precariously. And I tried to explain to him to stop, but he wasn't able to regain his balance, and he just plummeted. It's one of the scariest sights I have ever seen in my life. He appeared to be completely unscathed. I mean, he didn't so much as show a limp. He immediately trotted over to the fence and peed. Fortunately, the ground was very soft where he landed. We're installing a lawn right now, so we have like fresh topsoil. I actually did extra topsoil because it was going to be softer for dogs when I eventually train out there. For like when I'm doing fetch training, I want a nice soft lawn for them.
So lucky. We got so lucky.
We ran down there, we got him. I mean, he was totally fine. I'm not proud of the fact that this happened at all. This was my fault. It should have never happened. We really wanted to share this with you because we wanted all of you to learn with us with this mistake here. Never underestimate how smart and determined dogs can be to push the limits. They are an incredibly smart species. And this is just a fresh reminder of that for us. I'm glad he's okay. It could have ended up a lot worse. I just played with him, and fortunately he's a pretty athletic guy, but I will not let that happen again. This is all the more reason that I have got to prioritize my training with him, all of his basics. Say he had gotten out and he hadn't landed in the fence, and he had landed on the other side of the fence and started running off. I'm not certain that he would have come to me when I called him. In fact, I think he probably would not have.
He still could be like loose in the bear wilderness now. There's like wolves out there, coyotes, bears, wolverines, porcupines. Definitely no people that will catch him. I mean, it was a nightmare. No matter what the outcome, it was a total nightmare.
He's a true escape artist though. I mean, we know that at his foster home before he came here, he was staying in like this outdoor kennel area and he had dug underneath trying to potentially get out, which makes sense for a dog who's bored. Here he tries to dig at the fence out front, but I'm always supervising him, so I'm able to intervene to keep him from doing that. Just another reason to make sure that I can instill a strong recall and get all of his basics very tight and build that communication with him so that whoever ends up with him is going to end up with a dog who knows how to speak human. This is reality dog training. Go to barkbox.com/dogtraining and superchewer.com/dogtraining to get a free extra month when you sign up for a multi-month subscription. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and get a copy of my books too. I'll have all of the info below.